Hi there, I'm back with another Tuesday tip from the demo bar, and today we're going to be talking about blending tools and why I like them, how to use them, and most importantly, how to clean them. Let's get started. Okay, I get asked a lot, what makes blender brushes different than blending tools? Why do you like them? How do you use them? And how do you clean them? So that's what today's tip is, blender brushes. Okay, so you're probably familiar with the mini ink blending tool from Ranger. There are other ones out there. This is the one we carry. Now, a little over a year ago, Picket Fence Studios came out with the life-changing blender brushes. So that's what you see here. This is the 2-pack. You can also get them in the 10-pack and in a 6-pack with different sizes. This is the two most common used sizes that people really like, this size here. So that's why we have the 2-pack in these. Studio Katcha also has a 2-pack of blender brushes. So that is Studio Katcha. And then Tailored Expressions has a set of 10, and these are color coded. So for those of you who like to have a different brush for all your colors, this would be the set for you. Blender brush stand. This is the Studio Katcha one that I have here. It fits, I believe, 10 brushes. So this is the one I've got. I've got a mix of my Picket Fence Studio as well as my 2 blender brushes from Studio Katcha. The difference in the blender brushes. So this is the Picket Fence. This is the Studio Katcha. The Studio Katcha are very similar to the Tailored Expressions. They are lots of bristles, just tons. This isn't foam. These are all individual bristles. You see that? Those are bristles. So I find that the Picket Fence Studio bristles are a bit more tightly packed than the Studio Katcha ones, but you still get the same effect. I feel like I can get a much darker blend with these than I do with these, but I love them equally. This is the 80-pound Neenah paper. I'm just going to put that there. So with the original blender brush, you can see the difference. This one has a very straight edge. These are rounded. So when you do blending, you can get a much softer edge blend than with these. So let's just apply some ink, and this is the Broken China on the blending foam. Now we were always told to start off the edge and work your way in. And you can kind of keep your foam tipped up, and that kind of help you get a much softer edge. Now if you do lay it flat, you can see you're going to get a much harder edge because that is a straight edge on that foam. So, and you can see if you start blending in the middle, do that, you're going to get that harder edge blend. Okay? So let's set that aside. That is using the Ranger tool there. Now let's move over to the Picket Fence. Grab another piece of paper here. Let's do purple. I'm going to pick up my ink off of the ink pad. You can see the ink sitting on top of there. Okay, so I can actually start blending in the middle. And because it has that soft edge, you're not going to get a hard edge like you do here. You're going to get a much softer edge, and you can just keep blending out until your ink runs out. So I'm just going to keep going, making my circle a bit bigger until my until my ink runs out. Okay? And you can see how much ink I've used off there. So that is the Picket Fence. And now the Studio Katcha. And let's use Carved Pumpkin. Come over and use this one here. So this is still a Studio Katcha brush. I'm going to pick up that ink, and I will start blending in the middle with this one. can just keep going and going and going and going until that ink just fades out. Okay, now you're saying, well, you're starting in the middle. Can I start on the edge? Of course you can. You can start on the edge just like you used to do with this tool. You can start on the edge and blend your way in. You're going to get darker on the edge than you do when you get into the middle, of course, because your ink is going to run out. Okay, now using them with stencils. Let's do that. This is the new Circlet stencil from Nicole Wright Designs and Wild Whisper. Been super popular, and I love this stencil because it doesn't have that hard edge. So let's just lay this on here. Let me pick a different brush. Here I'll use, let's do Mustard Seed. This is using a Picket Fence blender brush. I'm going to pick up that ink, and I'm going to come over here and start blending. I'm just going to keep going and going and going until that ink lightens up. Okay, so you can see there. Now, let's turn that over. I'm not going to reload this. We're just going to put it back down just to see how much ink is still left on that brush. Oops. You can see there's still lots of ink on those bristles. And you can just keep going and going and going until you get a nice fade. Ignore that. I should have cut that off. But there you go. So now you can see how you can get that nice fade out. So that's where I started, and I just kept using it until my ink kept getting lighter and lighter and lighter. Okay, let's put that aside. Let's go back over here and do a different color on this one. Actually, do you know what? Let's stick with that. Let's stick with the yellow and see what happens over top of that purple. Okay, so let's blend here. Let's go around the outside edge of that purple. Just keep blending, not going to add any more ink. There you go. Now you can see that there. So you can see there's a lot of ways you can use the blender brushes. Now I tend to hold mine up near the head because I like a nice darker blend. You can hold it further back and you would get a lighter blend of colors. If you hold it back here, you're just going to get a very, very softer blend. Then if you were to ink it up and hold it up near here, you're going to get a much darker blend. So you can see the difference there. So depending on how much ink you want to apply, you can hold it near the back, you can hold it up here. Okay, now you're probably asking, how do I clean those brushes? Well, if you're not quite done working with them, what you can do, you can take a piece of paper towel, you can take your brush, and you can just rub it on here and to take off the rest of that color. Just keep blending and rubbing until a lot of that color comes off. Okay, now let's say you can't wait and you need to add a little bit of water. Well, what I would do is I would go, this is my Lawn Fawn stamp chamois. I'm going to come on here, it's a little bit damp. Going to rub it on there, and you can see it's taking off some of that color. Okay, so I would go back to the paper towel, dry it off, and then I could move on to another color. Now I would stay within the same family. I would stay with reds and oranges. I would stay with those colors, because if I was to take this and move to a green, I'm probably going to get a muddy color. Now to get a nice deep clean, I would use my brush cleaner. So how do you use the brush cleaner? Well, you can go to a sink, your kitchen, your bathroom, put a little bit of hand soap or dish soap on top of there, and you get your brush wet and just lather it up on that brush cleaner. And what that's going to do is it's going to lather and it's going to get deep down inside those bristles and clean out all that color for you. So you will get a nice clean color. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the video now. I'm going to go to the washer. I'm going to take this brush, I'm going to clean it, and I will show you the difference between a brush that has ink on it and after what it looks like after I've cleaned it. Okay, so I've just washed my brushes. So this is the one that had the yellow orange on it, and this is the one that had the purple, and you can see how clean those are now. And that is using my Studio Katcha brush cleaner. So it cleans them up really well, and I highly recommend using a brush cleaner to get deep into those bristles and to get all of that ink cleaned out. So that is my Tuesday tip from the demo bar. If you have any more questions, you can put them in the comments field. And thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and you can see all my videos when I post them here on my YouTube channel. Have a great day.